Hello everyone, this is Danny from Deep South Homestead. We've been asked to show our cellar, our root cellar, and what I want to do is just take this opportunity to maybe do that and show you a little bit about our facility here. What we have here in our root cellar is actually we have two rooms in our root cellar. One is actually a living quarters for when living in the Deep South. We have hurricanes, we have tornadoes all the time. Much like they do out in Oklahoma, Kansas with the tornadoes and stuff like that. We have an underground facility here. And what I want to do is show you a little bit about this underground facility, because sometimes when hurricanes come in, this thing can go on for 2 or 3 days at a time before it actually clears out of the area. So what I want to show you here is some of our ways of doing things while we're down here. First of all, when I first built this, I got into composting toilets, and we learned how you could take a 5-gallon bucket and take another 5-gallon bucket and cut it off. I cut out a plywood seat, screwed some clips to the bottom of it around the edge of it there, and actually made a composting toilet out of it. Which, when you do that, you can take a cup here. We keep a bag of sawdust here, and you take this sawdust, and every time you use the bathroom, you put some sawdust on top of it, and it actually keeps the scent down. You don't even smell it. I was really amazed by that. But as time went on, at a garage sale, I found one of these handicap toilet seats that I'm guessing Home Help provides these things. And I was able to buy it at a garage sale. And this thing comes with its own pot you can use here. It has a funnel thing that goes on top of it. Put the sawdust in that. When you get through, you can put the lid back on it. You can close it back down. Virtually no scent in here whatsoever. That's how we go to the restroom down here. Now, I know that while we're down here, especially in the summertime when a hurricane's coming through, we have a little small fan that, as long as we have electricity in here, which we do right now, we're able to use this little small fan here to keep a breeze going. But when the power goes out and the lights go off, you can't see your hand in front of your face in here. It is pitch black. So what we've done is we've bought some of these little LED lights here from Walmart. They carry little batteries in them, and what you do is these things will burn 1,000 hours on these few batteries. They've got 2 or 3 different settings. We'll fasten these things to the wall in different places around in here, and we can turn them on, turn them off just by simply pushing and clicking them. Great thing to have in the event that the power goes out. We also have the federal law mandates in the state of Mississippi that if you have an underground facility, that you have an axe, a pick, and a shovel, and all these things in your cellar. So we keep all these things in our cellar over here to the side. You'll be able to see that. In the event that something happens we can't get out, we can dig our way out. Ours, we happen to have a sink in here that I've put in here. We have a water faucet in here with a drain system that's hooked into the drain system around the bottom of the cellar, so that we can have water as long as we have electricity. Now, we're going to move over to the other side of the cellar and show you a little bit about that in just a minute. But I also want to mention that when you have an underground facility like this, you want to always make sure that you have water stored. Now, we'll take our old bottles that we pick up, the glass bottles. We don't use any plastic for anything here. All glass, so we can clean it and bleach it. We have a container down here of water. We have bottled water here. We'll rotate it out every so often, and that way, we've got fresh drinking water while we're down here. We apply to the rules and the laws. It says 1 gallon per person per day here is what you need to have in the event that you get in trouble. We also have these vent pipes. A lot of y'all are probably going to wonder, well, what about ventilation? Well, this room here is 12 foot by 12 foot. In a 12 foot by 12 foot area, it's required that you have so many square inches of ventilation coming in and so many square inches of ventilation going out. But what you want to do is, cold air is heavier than hot air. Hot air rises and cold air falls. So what you want to do, these are piped to the outside out here. As the cold air comes in, these things, they go all the way to within 5 inches of the floor. That way the cold air falls down at the bottom, and in a minute when we swing around to the other side of the room here, we're going to show you where they go out at the top. That way you're following all the rules. The cold air is not falling in up here mixing with the hot air. It always goes to the floor. That way the hot air can rise. You don't have any problems with that. And we also have these filters. We have homemade filters here that just in the event of something going on outside, that there's some kind of contaminants in the air, we have these filters that we can stick in the ends of these pipes where the air can still get in and sometimes keep some of the contaminants out. Alright, we're going to move around to the other side of the cellar here and show you some of the pictures. Okay, we're back at the other side of the cellar room here. I'm going to show you up here at the top. We have two ventilation pipes going out. And when we finish the ceiling in this thing, finish getting it insulated, and put the plywood on the ceilings in it, you want to make sure that those vent pipes do not protrude below the plywood on the ceiling, because if you do, condensation will form and you'll get water and it'll drip right there. It's mandatory that they be level with the ceiling in the cellar here, so that you don't fall into that water trap there. Now as we move down, you'll see here we have a futon. It's a metal futon. We keep the bedding part of it rolled up. We come down here, we can unroll this thing. This thing lets out into a bed, or we can sit here, whichever one we decide to do at the time, depending on how long a period of time we're here. We'll roll that out and use it here. And then you come over here, you'll see a thing that I've built here, a rack system. We raise our own Irish potatoes here, and what we'll do is I have these where they slide on this thing here. These all slide in and out. We'll put newspaper on top of them, and we'll lay our potatoes out on top of this, and as time goes on, we come out here when we need potatoes in the house to cook or to eat. Wanda or I'll slide these out and get the potatoes out of them. And then we keep up here, we keep our sweet potatoes. These are they're called slips. We keep them down here because the temperature right now is about 55 to 60 degrees. These are our sweet potato slips. As you can see, some of them are starting to sprout already, so we're getting pretty close to time to put them in the ground to raise our slips for our sweet potatoes this year. And then we also have this other system that I've built here. This is also a potato box. These potato boxes here, they come off of here, down like this. And what we do is we keep newspaper on top of them. And in here, we have our Fingerling potatoes that we raise here also. These are a year old. They've been in here for a whole year. And most of them are just now starting to sprout real good. They'll be ready to go in the ground here pretty soon for us to be able to plant. Probably within the next 3 to 4 weeks, we'll be getting them in the ground. But each one of these boxes here, we have newspapers in them. This is our Irish potatoes. We have them in here when we raise on our farm. You can see the eyes are starting to sprout on them. Then a couple of weeks, they're going to be ready to go in the ground, so we can continue raising our Irish potatoes. And each one of these boxes come off. That's our potato boxes. We keep them stacked up here, up off the floor, out of the way. We're going to pan around now and show you our canning room here. Okay, here we are in the canning room. I want to start off by showing you a little bit about the ventilation. On here you can see this room is this is an 8 by 12 room, which requires a 4-inch pipe coming in. And here you can see underneath the shelf down here, the 4-inch pipe comes in within 5 inches of the floor here for the cold air to come in this small room here. As you come up, you can see the pipe as it comes up through, it's up into here, and then it goes through the ceiling up top. It comes all the way across and goes outside out here. Now what you can see over here is I was telling you a while ago about how the vent pipe should look. This pipe right here cannot protrude below that plywood. If it sticks even 1/4 of an inch below it, condensation will form around this and water will start dripping. So you want to make sure that it's up inside it or either flush level with it. Now we can show you a little bit about this room here. Okay, you'll notice on the top shelf of our cellar up here, we keep our canning rings up here. If you pan around, you can see back here, we put our quart jars on the top. The cellar is designed so that 2 boxes of quarts will stack with an airspace. The requirement is 2-inch airspace around everything in a root cellar in order to keep condensation from forming. And as she pans down, you'll see we have our pint jars down here on this end, the empty ones. And what we do in our cellar is, you'll notice we have these sections that are sectioned off like this. They're 3-foot sections. And what we do is every 3-foot section is a year. And if she can pan back around to this side over here, this past year we had 2008 stuff here. Well, we cleaned all the 2008 stuff out, and our 2015 went back in place of it. 2009 was here. We cleared 2009 out. We've got some of our 2015s where they kind of filtered over into this. Our 2016s will actually begin here and go over here where our 2010s are. We're going to be finishing up our 2010s here pretty quick as we eat the food that we raise here on our homestead. And that's a little bit about how we lay our cellar out. We don't just do it by vegetables. We do sections and by years. And because of the upcoming things that I've been hearing in the news about how many earthquakes that they're talking about may start happening, we're actually fixing to come in here and put up a new system to where we put a board across here so that in the event we have an earthquake, these jars won't sit here and rattle around and fall off the shelves and bust on the floor and we lose everything that we've worked so hard for. And this cellar, let me go ahead and say, is not a concrete block one. I did a lot of research, and concrete blocks for our area was not the way to go because of humidity and stuff like that. This cellar is actually built out of pressure treated 2x8s in the walls, set on one foot apart all the way around the perimeter of it. There's a French drain system 2 foot below this all the way around it, and then there's one at 3 feet deep around it to help with the drainage problems on it. And if anyone needs any more information about the construction of it and how it's constructed and how we do it here, you can send me some messages and I'll try to answer them back as best as I can. But for those of you, I hope this has been informative to you. If you like what you see, then be sure to subscribe, like, and most of all, share so that we can get the word out there about how you do things. Thank you from Deep South.